podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No question with that.
So, Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United are the first team in Premier League history to win 4 games in a row by a 3-goal margin.
It's one of those weird stats that doesn't really mean anything.
Well, it's...
Except form.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I just think the fact that it hasn't happened at any point in the whole history of the Premier League by chance is pretty remarkable.
It is, especially given the City's rise and, I mean, less so Chelsea in their dominant period, but certainly City and then perhaps Liverpool now have been... Us, yeah.
Although 13 Premier League titles we won.
Is it total Premier League history? Yeah, so since 92, yeah. The perhaps even more surprising stat for me was this is the first time in 14 years that the same first 11 has been picked 4 times in a row. At United.
Wow,
at United.
That is remarkable. The other stat, the best stat of all about yesterday's game is that is now the first time that any team has beaten another team on every day of the week in the Premier League. So we've beaten Villa on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday now.
And you hit Craig David's song, right?
Yeah, beat Villa on a Monday, etc. It's too early for singing. The performance started really ropey. This almost looked...
Well, slow.
Ropey. Like ropey. They were giving the ball away a lot. There was a lot of... They were very, very slow. They weren't creating anything. They actually looked quite threatened by Villa. They couldn't... I don't mean meaningfully threatened, but, they were stretched and it just looked like, oh, is this going to finally be the one where... the one where they can't get it together. But even then, I have to say I was kind of thinking, well, there's a long way to go in this game yet, and there's a lot of very, very good players in Manchester United's attack. And so it proved, and the second half was a remarkably different affair.
Yeah, I'd have to say I wasn't too worried. I mean, it was certainly very slow. United were walking it around, and I thought, is this the effect of playing the same team a lot? And there being a lot of games, and perhaps, is Ole making the mistake here of not rotating enough? And clearly he has faith in the players he's got in the team right now, and he knows they're performing together, and he's able to win games and then make a lot of changes. And so, especially to the forward players who really do need to stay fresh, and to Nemanja Matic, who's older, who did look leggy, I think. I really felt...
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Feel like he could drop out of a game. I mean, I know in these games where United are very dominant, he wants Matic in there for his passing ability and his ability to recycle the ball really quickly, much as Michael Carrick was so successful at United over the years, and that's why he's in the team. But the worst performances of Matic over the last 18 months have been when he's played too much. He drops off a massive level. And he's 31 and so on. He'll be like nearly 35 when he leaves the club, apparently.
Yeah.
We'll
Matic
see.
2023. That's a done deal.
It's the thing,
Slightly confusing one. I think he's played great, but
let's get through Aston Villa. I do want to talk about that one, though. So, I have some concerns. Anyway, so 15 minutes of pretty slow start from United. Villa had some good positions, good ball. They didn't create anything of note. I mean, they had that, I think it's 25 minutes in or so, they had that shot from Trezeguet, just sort of clipped the outside of the post. It's a long way out, although no one went to block him. It's very central. So it's there. It's half of Aston Villa's XG last night, that one shot alone. And normally something from that far out wouldn't have very high XG, but because there was no defender in proximity, it's registered as a good shot. But I think that tells you something about Villa overall, even in their period of dominance. I don't know. Even in their good period, they didn't create anything. And this is why they're going down, of course, and I think they will 4 points behind now with 4 games to go, and they just couldn't capitalise on it. And it just felt like it only takes, as you said, one of our very many good players now to step into the game and win it. And this is a beautiful thing. We criticised Ole and the team so much for its sort of what does it stand for? What is this team other than a counter-attacking team? And I think for the first half of the season, last 18 months or so of Ole's reign, that's been very true. It's very hard to say what is the goal of this team structurally. Was its identity, overused word. But now we can say there is one, right? This is Manchester United plan A, keep the ball, create a lot of chances, use brilliant players to do it. And if you're not playing well, you've got brilliant players who can come up with something from a one-off position, like spinning on the ball and winning a perfectly 100% legitimate penalty.
I believe 1,000% was the number that you put on that. I think that the Villa, the other thing that happened with Villa was that ball to Grealish, which he kind of shanked. Gary Neville, I don't know why I'm complaining about Gary Neville already, but giving it that was a really good chance. It's like, Gaz, you would have hit that over, I mean, it was played at Villa, you'd have hit it over the Stretford End from there. That's how over it would have been if you tried to take that. I mean, it's not a good chance. It's a very difficult chance that he would have done amazingly to score. Very quiet game from Grealish. Nobody really stood out to me from the Villa side of things. It wasn't that they were good, it was that we just looked, like you say, really leggy, really tired. There was a period, I think, after we'd scored where we were playing literally at walking pace, just like at about 40 minutes when we were really on top of possession. And I thought it was interesting that they weren't kind of really trying to put their throat on, really trying to go for the throat at that point. They more than made up for that in the second half. So the penalty was what changed the game. The build up to the penalty was one of the first times where we had really picked up the tempo and started
moved the ball quickly. Yeah,
absolutely, lots of movement, lots of skill and interplay, and then Fernandes stepped over the ball onto the Villa player's ankle and got a penalty for it. I think that was not overturned by VAR because it wasn't an obvious error, not because it wasn't an error. But
the Premier League came out afterwards and said, "Oh, that should have been overturned." I have to say, I'm more in Ole's camp on this one. It's not rose. Well, maybe it is rose tinted or red tinted glasses. I don't know, but it's not really our shtick, is it? On this pod, I feel that if Fernandes had just stood still, it would have been a penalty because the Villa player went to ground and went through him. Which he did go through him. I know he's rolled him and stepped onto him. So, or a different analogy would be if this was in open play, long kick from a keeper, and the two players are competing for the ball. The player who comes into the back of the retreating player normally gets penalised, not always. So I think, like, in the moment and the replay, it's perfectly legitimate that you could give it. And I don't think it's so obviously an error that the Premier League has to come out and say, oh, we got that one wrong. There have been some really bad ones in the VAR era. And I'm not sure this was legit, deserving of that kind of Premier League statement. The other thing I've got to say, and I don't want to sound like some kind of, I don't want to get all Trumpy about this and start going on about fake news in the media, but half of the halftime interval analysis was dedicated to the penalty. And most of the post-match analysis was dedicated to the penalty. And then the whole of the interview with Dean Smith, the Villa manager, was dedicated to the penalty. And then they spent time on Match of the Day talking about the penalty. Aston Villa had one shot on target. One shot on target. Yeah, and 0.6 XG. They created nothing. The reason why they lost this game is because they're not very good. Not because United got a, dodgy penalty. Anyway.
No, and I think I completely understand why half of the halftime stuff was dedicated to it, because nothing else happened in the half, basically, of particular note. And yeah, fair enough. But yeah, the extensive conversation around it. But they love talking about penalty decisions, don't they? And,
well, they do. But even
and
they threw up a softball to Dean Smith, who could then kind of forget about the actual game. but he's going to take some blame. He changed nothing in this game. Their good period at the beginning, they weren't able to continue. He didn't change anything about Aston Villa in that game to then try and regain the momentum. His best player, Jack Grealish, spent the entire time playing at left back. Talk about Gary Neville. He kept complaining about it, but he's absolutely right on that one. The most creative player was nowhere near the United goal. So anyway,
I can't believe I said nothing else happened in the half when the Mason Greenwood goal was in that half, wasn't it? So, yeah, something else happened, and it was that we have the best young player in world football. The fact that Kylian Mbappe was trending after Mason Greenwood scored because so many people were tweeting, "Come outside, we just want a word with you."
Someone called him the pound shop Mason.
This kid is the truth. Like, we've had some exciting young talents come through at United. I mean, from players that have established themselves in the first team, like Marcus Rashford, to players who promised much and delivered almost nothing, like Adnan Januzaj. This player, I don't remember being so excited about an academy product at United. Well, ever, because I was too young to really process what Ryan Giggs meant when he was around. So, yeah, I mean, who knows where it'll go from here, but the ceiling on his potential is quite clearly, without any exaggeration, the actual ceiling on his potential is clearly best striker in the world,
Yeah, look, he's got all the tools, hasn't he? And the most fearsome thing about him is he's so... what's the word? Bipedal, I think it is. That it's how do you defend against him? He can go either way and hit it just as hard. I mean, he absolutely smashed one in against Bournemouth. I was going to say last week. When was it? Was it 3 days ago? The game's coming so fast, I can't keep up with it. But with his left foot and then smashed one in with his right foot. He's hit this one so cleanly, it's past the keeper almost before he's reacted. And it's a 0.07 XG chance, right? So it's 7 times in 100 shots the average player would put that into the net. Not for Mason. I mean, you feel like that's just it's just such a good... You'd be surprised if he didn't score that chance. In fact, he had a chance just before that on his left, which he put a bit too close to the keeper. And you're surprised he didn't take that one. His ceiling, as you say, is just so high. I think the thing that's going to turn him from being a 20 goal a season striker, he might probably get to 20 this season without really having played much. I mean, Daniel James has started 26 more games than Mason Greenwood. And I think part of the reason why Mason is now fresh and so dynamic now is because he hasn't been overused. I think Ollie's been very cautious with him, maybe a little overcautious, but he's protected him a lot, and it's been planned to get him more involved in the first team, and we're reaping the rewards. But anyway, the thing that turns him from 20 to 25 goals a season into 30 to 35 to 40 goals a season is scoring all types of goals, right? So he's a player who works the channels and works the spaces, not necessarily working the 6-yard box. And I think he can do that too, and I don't mean to make the wrong comparison here, but Lionel Messi has spent a career basically not playing at number 9, playing from a wide position and scoring 40 to 60 goals a season because he knows when to get into the right positions, when to shoot from distance, and Lionel Messi will take twice as many shots as Mason, basically, per 90 at this time. But he also gets into great high XG, great goal-scoring positions, and Mason doesn't quite yet. He works the spaces really well. He's obviously got a fantastic shot, but that all comes with experience, And you were saying a friend of the pod, Omar Chowdhury from 21st Club, was saying that it's minutes that count in his development. I think that's absolutely right, and I'd be really surprised if that goal tally he's scoring from low XG chances right now that XG doesn't start creeping up. Basically,
yeah, definitely.
His post-shot XG will be really high. I couldn't find the stat, but that's a measure of quality. It's going to be really high. But his pre-shot XG is pretty low right now because he's taking on ridiculous shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons he's doing that is because he can, and that will change at different points of his career. People will work out. I mean, he's always going to, assuming he stays injury free and his development continues and he can keep his feet on the ground and all the millions of challenges that face a young player becoming a great. The defenders will work out stuff about his game as he goes on, and he'll adapt, though, because he's clearly also extremely smart about using his abilities, because like you say, he works the channels excellently. And worth saying about that goal, absolutely brilliant from Anthony Martial in the build-up, and combining brilliant skill on the ball, which we all know that he has, and close control, which we've seen since his very first game against Liverpool, and an ability to control a kind of bobbling ball among defenders' legs brilliantly. But also the thing that's been kind of questioned about him around, determination and work rate and fierce, dogged commitment kind of thing, which, well, here we go. Here was all three of those. And yeah, just superb, and the right ball for Greenwood as well. So yeah, brilliant from Martial in the build-up.
I thought Martial had a good game. I mean, he was really annoyed. I did think that was kind of funny. I mean, he smashed one against the bar, which was it would have been a great moment if he'd gone in, because it was a very difficult chance, and he just absolutely leathered it. And it's past Reina and off the bar and down before Reina's really even reacted. But I thought he had a very good game at number 9, linking players. He's improved really well there. And I think, I don't know this is true. I don't know whether the penny just dropped with him or whether it is actually the fact he's working with a coach that not only believes in him very strongly, but was a striker and understands the intricacies of playing that position and isn't focused on your best number 9 covering the left back perpetually, like some other coaches who we shall not talk about, maybe a little bit later, might do, So, I mean, look, the improvement in Greenwood, in Rashford and Martial under Solskjaer, it can't be coincidence. And I think it's fair that for all the doubts we've had about Ole over his time with United, there's some real fruits blossoming right now.
100%. And if we're going to slag off Mourinho for making players play badly, which I think was entirely justified and is clearly happening right now somewhere else, we should probably praise Solskjaer for making players play well, or enabling, creating the culture, at very minimum, creating the culture for them to thrive. And at maximum, like you say, he's a striker. He's got a tremendous amount of experience and, has been himself in those positions and, could... I wanted a little quick word for Rashford as well, who there was one moment which didn't lead to a goal where Rashford made an absolutely brilliant run late on for, I think, Pogba, and Pogba put in a perfect through ball for him. It was very unfortunate that didn't lead to a goal, because it was just brilliant inside forward play from Rashford. And I thought he starting to look a little bit more like himself. I thought
he had a better game than any since lockdown. He's involved in. Of course, he had that shot that went in off Pogba's arse. And was completely unjustifiably called offside, even though it was like 15 yards off. He was just more involved, looked a bit sharper. I think he's just needed a few games, right? This is his what? Is it 5, 6?
I don't know.
Completely lost the run of things.
I think I can work it out, because there's we've won all the games in the Premier League since the Tottenham game, but so it's 5 Premier League games and 1 FA Cup game.
Right, so 6 games. That's been his pre-season.
Yeah,
and he had 60 minutes in a pre-season against West Brom. So, I mean, after months of injury, I think it takes a while sometimes. And
absolutely.
So I think it's good. He's going to be sharp for some really important games to come. And I thought it was better. Fernandes took him a while to get into the game. I thought
very much so.
Along with the rest of the side. He ends the game with a goal from the spot and an assist, because even when he's not playing well, he produces a goal and an assist. He has more goal contributions, so assists and goals, than anyone since he joined.
anyone
in the Premier League, that is.
If the Premier League had started the day that Bruno Fernandes joined, we would be top of the league right now. That's how absolutely insane it's been. No, we would. I mean, literally, the numbers. If since then we have accrued more points than anyone else in the Premier League. That's a crazy reality. He took his penalty excellently. No little hop in the build-up, but sort of psychological equivalent of a hop. I thought it's kind of interesting if the keeper's expecting you to hop and you don't, they might go a little later, maybe, but the keeper just went completely the wrong way. He did look like he was shaping to go the way the keeper went, and he sent him the other way, as he seems to do somehow every time he takes a penalty.
He strikes the ball so cleanly, I don't know if he even needs to get involved in all these games, really. I mean, he
literally scores every single penalty he's ever taken in professional football.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if he puts it into the corner like he did yesterday, at that power, that's a 99% chance of scoring penalty.
Yeah.
Right? Even if the keeper dives the right way, it's almost impossible to save.
Yeah. No, that's true. But yeah, so the third goal was Paul Pogba deserves. It's his first goal of the season, amazingly.
First goal in over a year. I mean, he has been injured for a lot of that time.
Yeah, but he played brilliantly. I mean, absolutely.
It was great. I mean, I thought he was man of the match. I just thought he completely controlled the midfield for United, and especially in that second half. And he really deserved his goal. I mean, props to Bruno for the training ground routine coming off. He waited. If you watch it again, Pogba's pretending like he's disinterested and then suddenly switches on.
I was watching with some friends in a PlayStation party chat, and someone said, "Oh, it's Paul Scholes territory." This when the ball came out, it's like, no, it's Paul Pogba territory now, baby. Like, this is the new Scholes. I mean, it was just an absolute delight. And he had a brilliant post-match interview after the game. He said, you know, he kind of knew the keeper a little bit, and he'd worked on that quite a lot in training. He was asked about Mason Greenwood, and he said, I love watching this kid play, and I love pushing him. What was amazing about that is then, I don't know if it was before or after that, but Roy Keane said, I don't think Paul Pogba wants to be a leader.
Yeah, that was after the game, and I thought that was completely wrong. I mean, I think Roy Keane is projecting his idea of what leadership is onto Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba, for so long, was the only leader. Right, now we have Harry Maguire as more traditional leader, and Bruno Fernandes as the kind of do what I do on the pitch leader, and the responsibility is now shared, and Pogba's thriving.
And I think I thought King was making a good point that, you know, actually having some extra leadership is going to help Pogba, because it definitely is. It'll help everyone. But yeah, he then went on to say, I don't think he wants to be a leader. And it's just, I mean, he'd literally just said, I love pushing Mason Greenwood. Like, that's, you know, that's what a leader does in that context. So yeah, absolutely crazy. But anyway,
interesting. While we're talking about interviews, interesting interview with Ole, who, instead of sort of being super effusive about Mason going, oh, he's great, it's fantastic, said it's up to him. He can go as far as he wants, and he has to do the right things. He has to train well. He has to play well. He has to live his life well.
It's absolutely the right tone to take, 100% in my opinion, because it's almost, apart from some terrible physical injury, it's the biggest danger facing Mason Greenwood about being that good, is not knowing that to turn that level of talent into the career he genuinely could clearly have. It's going to be what he does in his head that determines how that goes, for sure.
Yes. So not much happened after that. So Pogba scores in 58th minute, and he goes very quiet. So he had a lot of substitutions. He took off Fernandes, Greenwood, Martial, Matic. I think Wan-Bissaka as well. Brendan Williams came on at right back. Pogba played the full game, and so did Rashford. And I was probably right, actually. I think they're still, as good as Pogba was, I think they still need minutes. Yeah. And brought on the sort of B team that came on, that usually come on in these games now, James and McTominay, Williams and Igalo and Fred. So, they've just played out the game, but the intensity dropped massively. And it's good, because although United played Thursday, then play Sunday, and then play Monday then play Thursday, then play Sunday, then play the Wednesday against Leicester after that. It's insane, actually. Then it could be an FA Cup final on the 1st. Then there'll have to be the LASK game between the 1st and the 10th. So somewhere it'll be played at Old Trafford. And then the mini tournament in Lisbon will be, we assume, the quarterfinal, semi-final and final of the Europa. And that's all got to end before the 23rd of August. So it just never stops, basically. In fact, that Europa mini tournament is going to be the most sort of relaxed period of this season. So anyway, so it's good that they're basically only playing 60 minutes, some of them.
Absolutely, and it was good that they got through a lot of this game at walking pace. Worth saying again that the B team put together some really nice cameos. Like Fred was actually looked a bit fresher, looked a bit sharper on the ball. Dan James is trying his heart out when he's getting on the pitch. I guess he has been all season, to be fair, but he's trying his heart out. Luke Shaw in the first half, he did. Oh God, he intercepted a ball from Fernandes that was going out to Rashford, and then tried to pass it to Martial. Immediately gave it away, starting a counter attack. Then Pogba pinged an absolute worldie of a ball. Which, I mean, listen, it's not Luke Shaw's a left back. He's not a centre forward. It's a difficult chance to deal with. If we're going to give Grealish some credit for it being difficult to do, he's probably quite good at that compared to Luke Shaw.
Bounced off his shins though, didn't it?
Yeah, but then immediately after began to do the traditional Rantcast WhatsApp Rantcast. What's that? No question about that. WhatsApp group. Attack Luke Shaw and his character and his behaviour and all different facets.
Parentage and his looks and his body odour.
That's not what really happens, to be clear. He put in an absolute peach of a cross for Bruno Fernandes, which he headed over. Just headed it over, just trying to put it in the top corner. Should have headed it down, Bruno. Needed to get above that one. But what a cross. But then, Luke Shaw was... he's not worthy of any particular opprobrium for his performance in this game beyond those two moments I've mentioned.
No, actually, his numbers are pretty good from a general all-round, in terms of his pass completion rate and his number of take-ons and a couple of interceptions and a tackle. He didn't have to do much from a defensive point of view. I think the biggest upgrade, of course, when under pressure, Luke Shaw makes mistakes defensively, but the biggest upgrade would be someone who's actually a proper attacking left-back. So Shaw's... He's working. He worked hard in this game. I thought right at the end of the game, he's closing people down. I did think it's funny how much United pressed 3-0 up. 5 minutes to go, and they're pressing the Aston Villa defenders, hunting down another goal. He did that, so it wasn't his worst performance. No. It just offers so little in an attacking sense, and the upgrade there of an attacking left-back would make a massive difference to United. And it would be one of the steps that I think United have to take to go from 4th, 5th, 3rd. Well, I mean, we're obvious.
3rd.
Right now, probably the 3rd best team in the league, to much closer would be an attacking left-back. That is one of the big steps United do have to make. And it's a question whether the Woodward and the Glazers believe that we've got a team that's good enough now to compete in the top 4, and whether they're happy to trade off the marginal financial gain of getting a bit further for the massive financial injection that would be needed to achieve that.
Well, I mean, of course, the thing that we'll talk about, I'm sure, a lot, when we really wrap up the season and we see where we finish and we see where Chelsea finish, but the fact that Chelsea are signing Havertz, Ziyech and Timo Werner, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in an attacking capacity next season. And they're already... Pulisic is on fire at the moment. He's looking every ounce the kind of key man that people would, on the Chelsea persuasion, would have hoped he would become. And they're bringing in some other players who could definitely be key men. So given where City are at, let's assume they have some fire in their belly and don't lose a bunch of players because of the Champions League situation. And Liverpool will be absolutely desperate, you would imagine, to prove that they can retain and get to 20, So it's not going to be a walk in the park for us to challenge even to be guaranteed top 4 next season.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And obviously this team has made a step forward with Bruno's acquisition and the return to fitness of Rashford and Pogba. And we're seeing right now the kind of quality that this first 11 can achieve. And there is some depth, but it's not the kind of depth that's going to win you a league title. And we're reliant on there not being another injury, Pogba or Martial, because it all goes wrong then. You know, if Pogba's out of this team and it's Fred, suddenly you don't have that double creative pivot. If Martial's injured and you play Rashford up front, he's a very different kind of number 9. And you bring Dan James into the side who's got far fewer goals in him. And so, you know, it's only a couple of players from this being touch and go next season for a guaranteed Champions League spot. We don't know what's going to happen with Leicester. How many players do they lose? Will they hang on to their players? Can they return to the kind of quality that they produced in the first half of this season? Spurs won't upgrade because they don't have the money.
And are rubbish and are
and
not
they
part
have,
of the conversation.
And they have Mourinho parking the bus against Bournemouth, just so special. But you know, Arsenal, I assume, will try to. They'll trade to do it. So, you know, I don't know how much we have to look over our shoulder. Wolves have got money, and they could, if they keep the players, they could upgrade. So it will be challenging next season. And I just think it's the thing that I know the answer to it. But it's the thing that we always have to ask with United and the Glazers. Are you prepared to pay more money than you'll get back? Because the marginal gains, there are diminishing returns in football, right? And especially for United, who make so much money out of commercial. Just being in the Champions League is enough for this business model to work. Getting into that top 2, challenging for a league title and going deep into the Champions League is going to take far more spending than the business model requires, and so it's going to take a change in mindset, and which is, you know, maybe it's been me being pessimistic, but that's just how they run the business model. Anyway, long discussion about that, but it kind of came into, like, it was on a big debate on Twitter, and stats guy Mike Goodman said on Twitter, it won't be long before United fans are having the conversation which says, do we really need Sancho given how well Mason Greenwood is playing? And we had this conversation on the last pod. And my answer then is, no, we need the depth. You know, and I think that's absolutely right. Like, just a couple of, you know, really key purchases, that attacker, flexible attacker that Sancho is, to add depth into those positions, a left back. I know we disagree on this one. I still think a proper, really high-quality defensive midfielder would make a big difference to United. And a centre-back. And you're a title, not necessarily title-winning, but title-challenging team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I fully agree. Let's take a little break and come back and talk about defensive midfielders and then preview whoever the heck we're playing next, Southampton. If you want more from the show in between shows, check us out on the socials. We are NQAT Pod on Instagram, Ed's at NQAT Pod on Twitter, and we are under our real names on Facebook at No Question About That. And before we get into the Nemanja Matic chat, I was absolutely delighted to have a chat with Jay Motti from, I was about to say Full Time Devils, but as you will hear, and you might have heard, the artists formerly known as Full Time Devils. So here's my chat with Jay. We recorded this over Skype, so it might not have the beautiful sound quality that you know and love from us. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by, I was going to get it wrong, first out the bat, Jay. I was going to say Jay from, but no, Jay from...
There'll be lots of that, trust me.
I believe that it is appropriate for us, as the world's foremost experts on beloved Manchester United fan content changing its name, to welcome to the show Jay Motti from Stretford Paddock. Jay, what's going on?
I was just wondering, should I now start referring to myself as Jay from the channel formerly known as Full Time Devils, now known as Stretford Paddock? Yeah.
You might find with Facebook that you have to do that. We had to change our name to No Question About That, formerly known as United Rant, for a few months, and then we finally got just No Question About That.
I didn't even realise who I was talking to at times. I was like tweeting you guys back and like not realising it was you lot. I was like, oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, right, yeah.
My favourite was when my lovely podcast co-host got into it with a mutual friend of yours and mine, and he thought that was me.
Yeah, I got a message. Like, and you're quite, I know you don't like to hear it, mate, but you are known as like the nicest guy on the planet. Especially among me and my friends, we all sing your praises. So like my mate messaged me, he was confused and slightly crestfallen. But like
that I turned on him.
Yeah, like I can't believe Paul's turned on me. Like, of all people. And I was like messaging you going, hiya mate, just a quick one. What's going on here? Sort of thing, nothing to do with me. You're opinion, but and you were like, oh no, that's not me.
Yeah.
Oh, the relief, mate. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, the phrase "I'm not my brother's keeper" has never been more appropriate than Ed's Twitter account.
Yeah, I think we both can speak on that because the people that I'm involved with, I've never, their business is their business. I'd be here all day if I ended up spending my time defending like the likes of Stephen House and Adam McCullough. So yeah, that's their business, just like Ed's business is his.
So how have you been, Jay? It's been ages since you've been on the show.
Well, mate, I can't remember. Last time I think we spoke to you was when Fergie retired. It was like years ago. I've been good, mate. I mean, there's just a real positivity in a minute, and I'm just trying to get rid of that cynicism and that sort of, waiting for it all to go wrong and just enjoy it for a bit. You know what I mean? Like, just enjoy the fact we're winning games. Enjoy the fact we're scoring goals. Enjoy the fact we've got these amazing young players that are coming through and the signings that are working out. And just, we've had enough ups and downs recently and doom and gloom. I'm just enjoying it, mate. You know what? If things start to go wrong, then I worry about it then. But at the moment, I'm enjoying watching Manchester United. I'm enjoying the results. So, yeah, I've got a team that is likeable and lovable and players that you can get behind. And I'm all about that at the minute.
And the kind of just the simple feeling of being excited that a United game's on.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. Like, do you know, you've been there, Paul, many a time. Like, I remember sort of being at Old Trafford before the game, chatting to mates, and you look at your watch and it's like 2 minutes to kick off, and you carry on talking. And you look at your watch and it's like 5 past kick off, and you're like, should we go in? Suppose better add. And you're trudging there, and it's more like an obligation and a duty rather than a desire. It's like, I've got to go and support the team and get behind them, but I don't really want to go in there and watch this. And now the feeling, I know we can't go to the games, but the feeling of watching the games is completely different. I'm looking forward to it. It's like we had from the Bournemouth game to the Villa game, it was like a 4-day break or 5-day break, whatever, and you're like a little bit gutted that you've got to wait that long to see the team again because it's just been so exciting, and the football's been, it's not been perfect by any stretch, but it's been good to watch. And,
yeah.
We're playing like something similar to the Manchester United teams we grew up on, and it's been a long time since I've said that. Even post Fergie, the success we've had. If you look at like the Jose Mourinho first season, for example, where we picked up two trophies, our league form was terrible. We rode our luck a lot in the Europa League. We made hard work of it even in the League Cup at times. It wasn't like vintage football that got us 2 trophies. No. You look at the similar thing with Van Gaal. We won the FA Cup. Great feeling, great trophy to win. But that season wasn't, we finished, 6th?
Yeah, 5th, I think.
5th. Sorry. And he got sacked at the end of it. Yeah. So this is the first time where you've had United challenging, since Fergie retired, United challenging for trophies whilst playing football that's enjoyable to watch.
It's amazing because it's a very small sample size, but there's a huge difference to me because the only time since Fergie that there's been a period that's anything like this was the games against Spurs, Liverpool, and then Villa, and then Man City in that little 4-game run under Van Gaal that everyone remembers because we suddenly became good. But if you looked at that, that was just a system working, and there was nowhere near the same level of individual quality of players that there is that are producing these results. So this is the thing that, obviously the key problem of, we don't need to talk about this here, but in an injury to a couple of key players and it all goes back to square one. But while the first team's available, there's no reason to expect this. I mean, we're recording this before the Villa game, so it might have already gone wrong by the time people are listening to this. But there's no reason to suspect currently that this is about to go wrong, is there?
No, I mean, you look at when we had this other wonderful run under Ole, the sort of part of the issue there was Ole came in and just by not being Jose Mourinho, just being like the opposite of Jose in terms of reaching out to players that had been sort of marginalised, by getting Paul Pogba back into the team, just being a bit more friendly and happier, he was able to rejuvenate the squad. But you knew that wouldn't last. You've got to do more than just not be the previous manager to make a success of a Premier League club, especially one like Manchester United. But this season, it feels like certain parts of the puzzle have been falling into place over the course of the season. So, in summer, Ole went out and strengthened the defence massively. You knew that'd take time for them to gel, and it has okay. We had a couple of mistakes against Bournemouth, but our defensive record, by and large, has been quite good. You knew that we needed someone else in midfield. He's brought in Bruno. That's been a massive boost. You knew that the likes of Mason Greenwood and, to a lesser extent, Brandon Williams, if they were sort of brought into the team, they could play a part. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. And also Martial and Rashford, who he's, unlike Jose and other managers, he's sort of found a perfect role for them. Kept faith in him there. He kept faith in Martial down the middle. He's kept faith with Rashford on the left. And now you're seeing all this clicking into place. So, there are faults in this team. There are sort of areas for improvement. But by and large, you can see how all the different elements have come together. And now we're beginning to look like a really, really strong, exciting Manchester United team that can, on our days we've seen, can challenge anyone.
Absolutely. So, onto the exciting new developments in your life, Jay. What on earth have you done? You've killed a beloved fan channel, so I hear.
I know. Yeah, you have to forgive me. It's terrible. It's criminal. But listen, Paul. You've been involved in Full Time Devils since I have from the start. I think we were on one of the first videos together, and it's something Full Time Devils. I've been involved in it since sort of 2013. It's been close to my heart. Myself, like Stephen Howson, Adam McCullough, have all been involved in it. And what's happened is, over like the last sort of few years, the channel's moved in a different direction. We didn't own the channel. We just, we appeared on it. We helped to run it. And we didn't have that control over it. And the three of us and another lad called Joe have got together. We own the channel now. We're going to, run it the way we want to run it and the way we think it should be run. And that's what we're doing. We've given it a rebrand and a name because we didn't choose the name Full Time Devils Starters. Like I say, we sort of joined it when it was already called that. There's a channel called Stretford Paddock that some of you may know that Stephen Howson and Joe had built up. So we've changed the name to Stretford Paddock because that means a lot to a lot of people as well. That channel is now focused on a football team that they're running, a non-league team with sort of some United fans involved in.
So their old Stretford Paddock is now going to be like covering the Paddock FC stuff. They're
doing like a non-league team, like a #United sort of thing, where they've joined like I think one of the lower tiers in the sort of Greater Manchester League or the Lancashire League, or whatever it is. So they're going to be doing that. That's sort of separate, but we're for what was Full Time Devils is now Paddock. But for anyone who watched Full Time Devils, you will see a lot of the old gang back on there. You will see McCall, you will see Howson. We're going to get you on, Paul, if you'll come back on as much as possible. Some of the familiar faces, some of the familiar formats and videos that we used to do. We just want to get back to that. And we want to get back to getting all the fans involved like we used to, and it to be something that everyone can get involved in and everyone can enjoy, because that's why we got involved in it. It was never a job or a chore. It was an opportunity to talk about what we love, which is Manchester United. And that's what we want to get back to, and that's what we're hoping to do. And we started doing this week, relaunched this week, and the feedback already shows you why we do this. People say, it's great, we're glad to hear it. Some people say, being honest, they felt like the standards have slipped. Me and you've had those frank conversations about it. It wasn't at the levels we expected at times, and I admit that, and I'm not going to deny that. But we're confident that we can get back to producing the sort of videos that people love to see. And it's been an amazing sort of 7 years when you look at it, what the channel has done and achieved. Some of the videos we've produced, the fans we've spoken to. I myself have had so many good times chatting to fans and being involved in it, and I was only involved for a lot of the time on the periphery. So yeah, we just want to get back to that, and that's what we're going to do now with what is now Stretford Paddock. And it, just from the initial response we've had, it seems like a great idea, because lots and lots of fans get their sort of not just their match day experience, but get tapping into United and the fan base via fan channels and via our fan channel. And it's great that we can get back to that and connect with those fans like we wanted to.
I think it's really good news. And, we talked a little bit before we started recording, and one of the things that I think is just so important is that where it's possible, I understand why people that want to make big YouTube channels need investment, and that potentially means ownership. But there's something I really like about a fan channel being owned by the fans, but the level of kind of investment there, just it's been done for the right reason. So I've known you for a long time, and we've got, like, there's never been any doubt that the people actually making the content for FTD have been doing it to make good Man United content to entertain people that like United. I mean, we started this show literally just because we like talking about United together, and then people started listening to it, and that's always been the intention, and it continues to be. But yeah, when you've got a media company in the background, there's naturally going to be a level of cynicism about that. And I don't think wrongly, to be honest, because those people's intentions is not necessarily to, serve the interest of the community, but you guys have got no choice now. That's it.
It's a case of if you don't like what we do, then it's our fault. If you do like what we do, it's our fault. You're right. We were owned by a media company, and with that comes certain influences that you just have to accept. And it was sometimes those influences or those ideas didn't match with our own, and it's like we got to the point where it was almost like a make or break scenario. It was like, okay, if we can do this ourselves and we can take this over and do it, then great. And if we can't, we need to walk away. And fortunately, we were able to get in a position where a few of us got together. We are mates, we've worked together, but we're friends. We love United, and we share the similar views and values around the club. And we thought, right, can we make this happen? And thankfully, we're able to. And it just feels really exciting because, it is a risk, but I'm pretty sure no one's going to have a violin out for me. I'm getting to an opportunity to talk about Manchester United all day long, which is a dream scenario for probably pretty much everyone that's listening to your podcast. So, yeah, I'm really excited. And you're right, we have had sort of our hands tied in certain situations, and you've been involved as well, and sort of seen firsthand the sort of thing that's gone on, and we want to move back away from that. We are fan-owned. We're authentic. These are four lads that know each other, United fans who sort of have that same view, and we're hoping to collaborate with people like yourself and get other people, fans involved, and get back to Full-Time Devils was always about just getting people to share their views on United. That's what made the channel, the prime example of that is Andy Tate. Everyone knows who Andy Tate is. This is a guy who works in a shop still, who, became a overnight phenomenon because he captured the mood of United fans under the David Moyes era, or Moyes, as he would say. And that was what it's about, just getting people, and just inviting people to come on and share your opinion. Joe, who's one of the lads who's one of the owners, he first came on Devils about a year ago. The City, that was his first appearance on a fan camp. He just came on. He'd had a few wines and he came on and just shared his opinion on United. And it was like, this guy's talking a lot of sense, and he stayed in touch, and a friendship was formed and a relationship where, he's been getting involved more, and now we're in a position where we're all working together and doing something that we think should be a great platform for Manchester United fans to get involved and share their views. And that, it's not, okay, three of us are Mancunians or three of us are based in Manchester, but it's not just about, as you know better than anyone, it's not just about Manchester. It's about anyone. We have fans and viewers and contributors from all over the world, literally, and we want to get them involved again.
It's brilliant. All right, so where can the people find everything? What are all the new details?
Well, if you go on, if you sort of search on YouTube, if you search actually Full-Time Devils or Stretford Paddock, either of them, you will find us. You'll see us on Twitter as Stretford Paddock. We've been changing at the time recording, we're just changing everything over. So it's like, because everything's verified, it's like a bit of a minefield. But yeah, Stretford Paddock is the sort of the go-to place now. You go on there, you'll find us, and we're going to be putting out roughly around a podcast every day, different ones. We've got
by the way, an outrageous shout on the little introduction video where Stephen said that your new podcast with Ronaldo is going to be the everyone's new favourite Man United podcast. Listen, second favourite. Thank you.
When he said that, I said it's second. You can't say, right? Even with all the hyperbole that goes on with launching something new, you can't say it's going to be better than the No Question About That podcast. It's not, right? So I'll admit I hold my hands up, but I'm quite happy to finish, second in that league table. As long as it's not a Jose Mourinho second, as long as we're not 19 points behind you, then I can live with it. But yeah, me and the young lad called Ronaldo, we're doing what's called a Tier 1 podcast, speaking to journalists, Tier 1 journalists, and speaking about the top stories that are going out there. We've got the old Devils podcast where a load of us just chatting about United and all sorts going on. You know how it is.
Are all the podcasts on the same podcast feed? Do people have to subscribe to individual ones, or are they all going to be on the same feed? Yeah, we're going to
put them all on the same feed on what was the full-time Devils feed. So yeah, you can get all that stuff. And obviously, after you've listened to your podcast, if you still want a fill of Manchester United that's almost as good as your podcast, and I implore people to check us out because, and get involved as well. If you want to sort of get on the channel, or, we're going to be asking people because obviously in lockdown, we can't do fan cams from the ground. People want to send us videos and reactions and stuff. We're going to be posting a lot about that on socials, so you can get involved in that because, the essence or the ethos of Full Time Devils was just inviting fans to give their opinions, and that's what we're going to carry on doing.
Brilliant. Well, I wish you all the very best with it and look forward to seeing how it develops in the next couple of years. So, Stretford Paddock for all your formerly known as Full Time Devil needs.
Exactly. Cheers, nicely done. Cheers, mate. Good to chat to you.
So, talking of upgrading our defensive midfielders, what do you think the message of giving Nemanja Matic a contract till 2023 sends about the possibility that we're going to invest heavily in defensive midfield this summer?
Yes, we won't. But and in theory, United have two players for that position, McTominay and Matic. I think McTominay is more of a box-to-box player. I think he wants to be that kind of player now. He definitely wasn't when he first came into the team, but I think he would like to be, and he's become more dynamic. Matic is in there, as I said, because of his passing range. But just physically, it's the thing I worry about. When United don't have all this possession, he becomes a liability defensively. And I know there's lots of boosters and on social media about Nemanja Matic, and he is playing well, but he's playing well in a team that's attacking a lot and having a lot of the ball. And in those big games when United don't, I feel that even though he's very disciplined in that position, physically he struggles. But anyway, so I think it says, to answer your question, that United will not be investing in that position, and if they invest at all, it will be in other positions, at least for the next year or so. I was surprised at the length of the contract because they'd already activated the 1-year option to take him to 2021, so there was no rush on this one. And they've given him another 2 years on top of that, which feels like a lot for a player his age.
It did seem like a really strange move because, I mean, I think that Matic has played really, really well, and I thought he was completely shot, and he's clearly not completely shot, and that's lovely. And he's a very fine player on the ball, and he's actually very good at breaking up play if it comes straight at him. He makes a lot. It makes a lot of good one-on-one decisions.
But when he has two players running at him or pressing him, especially the pressing, he can struggle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he did against Aston Villa in the first half of that game. So, that's Aston Villa about to be relegated Aston Villa.
Yeah, Aston Villa have three players who would definitely find another Premier League club. Mings, who's been talked about as a potential United acquisition, I'd say doesn't feel right.
No.
Not least when you see him running backwards away from Mason Greenwood.
Roy Keane was not a fan of that move.
No, that's right. McGinn, who I do think is a very good midfielder. I don't think he's United level necessarily, but he will definitely find another club. And then Grealish, who needs to grow up a little bit, but is very talented. Apart from that, they're rubbish. And they shouldn't have given United quite so much trouble in the first 20 minutes or so. But anyway...
That was Matic. I was talking about Matic being pressed by Villa, and so the decision to give him a contract till 2023. It's very hard not to see this as the club not being well run. Just in terms of when the club was really well run, players of his age and profile would be given a year-long extension and like it. You know, and are they? There's been a lot of talk. The Phil Jones contract. There was a lot of talk about protecting the asset. I don't know why you're protecting an asset.
Well, there is no asset to protect here. There's no transfer fee given his wages. So, look, I think we talk a lot about directors of football and technical directors, and people roll these two very different jobs into one often. And United have a problem with both, right? They have a problem on the acquisition side, making the right acquisitions. They think they've solved it, and this is why the idea of bringing in a director of football has been shelved. They think with Fernandes, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Dan James, they've solved the problem, and they won't be making any more mistakes. We'll see. We'll definitely, we'll see whether that's true or not. But the other side is the technical director piece. It's about understanding from academy level through to the first team and first team contracts and managing each position over a long-term view where every single player and every single position is going to be, right? And who you need to give contracts to and how you need to manage each of those players and where the acquisitions will need to be made. Now, that long-term plan will have to change as soon as you get punched in the face to, appropriate Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But at least you have that long-term plan. It's what Southampton were doing really well before Les Reed left. It's what Liverpool and City do really well. It's not just the acquisition side of things. It's understanding which players are likely to leave. The reason why Liverpool was sniffing around Timo Werner is because they think one of Mane or Salah might go.
Yeah.
Or Firmino was most likely one. So, and so that's the other thing that United, they don't have that. Who does that? Is that Ed Woodward? Do you think the former JP Morgan banker, an M&A specialist, turned commercial specialist, is good at managing a squad of players? So Nicky Butt does this thing in which he's the guy who's supposed to help players out of the academy transition into the first team. And we can give him credit for Mason Greenwood, a lot of Mason Greenwood's development. He's not the guy who's going to see the whole picture. So I think United have trouble there too, and we're seeing, I think, that play out in a new long-term contract from Mike Smalling. Can't stop calling him that. And for Phil Jones, which is insane, and for Luke Shaw, and the size of contract with David De Gea when he was on the downslope, and now in the Nemanja Matic. And this has a material impact. People might think, it's just a new contract, but that's coming out of United's budget, all of this, right? And there's a lot of wasted budget probably going on all these players. And then it's really difficult to get them off the books.
Yep, absolutely. And I let's talk about some of the reasons why, apart from just incompetence, this might have happened. Well, one could be this is a really young team and you want some old heads around and you want to kind of guarantee that some of the same old heads will be around for a good stretch of time for players to learn from, to serve as examples, to just be around. And maybe Matic is a really good influence on players behind the scenes. And it's this thing that I talked a lot about when I did not want to podcast anymore when Jose Mourinho was the manager, about the limitations of fan coverage. Like, we don't set ourselves up as experts on these things, but we've been talking about United for 10 and a half years. And so you start to naturally assume some sort of role of expert in either in other people's minds or in your own mind, which just, of course, is not. We don't know anything like the full picture. We've only got what we see. So, maybe there's a bunch of intangibles that are there,
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure we've missed much of the decision-making criteria used to give Phil Jones a new 5-year contract.
Oh, not that one. That one's very straightforward. That was just dumb. Okay, so Southampton now. Southampton, we surely cannot afford to go into this game. I don't mean Man United, I mean us inexpert podcasters. can't afford to go into this one just assuming we're going to rock up down there and win 3-0, because they have been a very solid prospect in the post-lockdown era. And, of course, they just beat Manchester City. So...
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting set of results for them. I mean, they beat Norwich. Everyone beats Norwich. They lost to Arsenal. I saw that game.
Sent off in that. Yeah,
had a man sent off. Arsenal were good for the victory, I thought. They beat Watford at Vicarage Road. Watford who beat us at Vicarage Road, if you remember. Which was
Liverpool. They beat Liverpool. Watford did. This season. They're the only team that beat, apart from City, I guess.
And then they beat City, which was a kind of strange fixture. I mean, they was all about tactics, right? I mean, that is 0.63 to 3.4 XG on that game. And they just did really well to hold off City in that second half when City really did bombard them. And maybe they'll try and do the same thing with United. Come out of a ball draw with Everton, where they were the better side. It's going to be a tough one. It's probably not the one you want to do 4 or 5 changes for, and maybe you take the gamble. You beat Southampton with your first team that's playing really well, and then you make the changes for the Palace game next Thursday, maybe. Yeah,
the Palace are playing. It gave Chelsea a real scare and are playing with a kind of freedom. So this is one where I think somebody else made this point. I don't know who it was. So it's not an original thought. It's kind of why Matic should have been rested from the Villa game. Because actually, you really kind of want Matic in this Southampton game because they're going to be really difficult to break down. Given that Arsene Hutel is clearly a details guy and is going to have been watching a bunch of tape, and that XG against City was probably misleading because they really did play to block shots. They did play to kind of stop City after the shot. It's the Sean Dyche Burnley thing where they were constantly getting better defensive results than their XG should have suggested because they were designed to do exactly that. I think this is going to be a real challenge. They've got threats on the counter, and have not really been struggling to score goals in that they've got the Premier League's 3rd top goal scorer or something in Danny Ings. Nathan Redmond is a fine support player for him, and even it's Shane Long still there, isn't he? They can bring Shane Long to run at us.
No, I mean he probably more likely come off the bench Long, but I mean we'll see. I mean he's been playing 2 up front. Shea Adams has not been scoring goals, young prospect from the Championship who hasn't transitioned that well into the Premier League, but he scored one from 45 yards the other day, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's has he just suddenly started scoring goals just at the wrong time for us?
I mean, I think they do set themselves up in midfield really well. So Ward-Prowse is obviously, I mean, apart from being great from set pieces, which will be an important area for United to defend well from, because his delivery is excellent. He's also has a good passing range, and so they keep the ball reasonably well in there. Romeo's limited as a player, but he also keeps the ball well. So they've got a platform there. I think it's at the back they can struggle, obviously, and United should be able to get at them. And if they do play 4-4-2, I think there'll be a lot of space for our attacking players. They might not. They might just play with Ings up front and augment midfield. We'll see. But mostly he's been playing a 4-4-2, so which can transition into a good defensive block. The old-fashioned 2 blocks of 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can't imagine he's going to make many changes for this one. We're now at the point, of course, we didn't even talk about this. Leicester drew their last game, so they're now a point ahead of us. The fact that they drew rather than lost doesn't really, I mean, I think they equalised. They were going to lose. I can't even remember who they played. I watched that game, but they were going to lose and then they drew. Arsenal, that's who it was. Of course, Arsenal couldn't hold on for a result. We needed them. It was one of those where you've got a lot of United fans supporting Arsenal going, how does anyone ever do this? This is just horrible. Supporting Arsenal must be the worst. Anyway, but it doesn't really matter that they're a point ahead or the same number of points because their goal difference is effectively a point anyway.
Well, not at the rate we're going.
No, I was going to say, before this last round of fixtures, our goal difference was exactly 9 worse than theirs. So really, Southampton should lose to us 9-0 to make it fair, really. That's what they should do. So, yeah. But we're playing them, and so if we win every game between now and the end of the season, we're in the top 4, whatever else happens.
Sure, that game against Leicester on the last day of the season, which is actually only a couple of weeks away now.
Yeah, wow.
Is going to be really critical. I mean, it could be. I don't think we'll know the outcome of the City Court of Arbitration for Sport case by then, will we?
Oh, I thought it was next week.
Is it next week?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, maybe we will then. Yeah, that I mean, it could be like basically £100 million game against Leicester.
Yeah,
with no fans. Given the revenues and broadcasting and our commercial contracts for being in Champions League, yeah, we'll see. I mean, of course, United, just for the sake of pride, we'd like United to be going into the Champions League in the front door, not in the back door.
Absolutely.
Right? So finishing in the top 4 by rights, but yes, win every game from here, beat Leicester. We will be in that top 4. I want to chase down third. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, chase down third, beat Chelsea in the semi-final, smash City, those grubs, in the final of the FA Cup, and then
have a little bit of a holiday in Portugal for the Europa. Yeah,
dance our way through every team in the Europa League and finish the season third with 2 trophies. Nailed on. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tricky Reds. Absolutely.
3 trophies, because we'll have won the second half of the season. What do they call it in Argentina?
Oh, yeah, the Clausura
exactly.
trophy, of course, yeah. How could I forget? It's been so fun. Like, even yesterday weren't even that great, and they were incredible fun to watch. 2 absolutely brilliant goals and some really nice play. That Martial one which hit the crossbar, was absolutely fantastic. Just fine performances all round yet again. So Southampton, I think, will be a different prospect. I very, 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 very much hope that we come away with a comfy 2-0 win, being given yet another penalty.
Given?
Penalty FC.
One, legitimately won.
We've legitimately won most of them. This one, I didn't think it was a penalty at all. You called me a weirdo and said it was 1,000% a penalty, and then half the football.
I think that's solid analysis.
I felt like whenever you take a position which is like diametrically opposed from me about football, my instinct is always to be like, oh, am I completely wrong about this? And then like about 10 people said within a space of 2 minutes, that's never a penalty. And I felt a lot better that I've not just gone mad. So I'm not saying it definitely wasn't. I just mean at least I'm not insane for thinking it might not have been, kind of thing.
You make the mistake of assuming that the 1,000% nailed on and you're a weirdo comments are linked. I just wanted to let you know that you're a weirdo.
Yeah, that's fair. That is completely fair. All right, so let's predict results.
I'm going to say 3-1 to United.
Yeah, that sounds like a very nice prediction. Because... So I predicted a 2-0 win against the Villa game, and then halfway through the week I started to think, wait a minute, if we actually turn up, we're going to score more than 2 goals. This one, I wonder if it's just going to be... I think we're going to have to be better to get the result, but I think we'll know that, and we will be better, and we'll win 3-0 again.
All right. Yeah, Southampton's such a funny club, funny side. I mean, the propensity to ship goals, but I mean, individually... at the back, not very good. And, I know people rate McCarthy as a young keeper, but I'm not sure. It's the midfield and the forward platform that they've got that could cause trouble, but I don't think they're not. I mean, looking at the City game, they are going to set themselves up to defend. So United get a nice early goal in that one. Hassan Hüttl's system is completely blown apart, and we could go and win this game comfortably.
Lovely. Sounds excellent.
Just give it to Mason.
Brilliant. All right, so enjoy that, everyone. I've no idea when we'll be able to record a show after that, but we'll try and do it in a timely fashion for you, everyone. Take care of yourselves till then.
Have a good one.
No question about that.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.